Hey guys, before we get down to our top 5 games of all time, just want to shoot out a reminder. Like, subscribe, hit the bell, get the notifications every time a new episode comes out. We have a Patreon if you want to support the channel. You can throw us a little bit of cash. You get access to some uncut videos of us playing games with all the cuss word songs, movie quotes, and everything that normally gets edited out. But if you can't or don't want to, that's fine too. We appreciate even just, dropping us a line.
Yeah, join us on Discord where we talk and interact with people, answer questions, take suggestions. We also have an Instagram that we're pretty active on and making some cool memes and songs. Mike's pretty good at curating that. And we also have a Facebook, so you can find us on all the social medias.
Watch our live show every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We drink whiskey and we talk about games.
It's a great time, and you can comment there and be part of the show with us. All right, guys, all those things. Now on to our top 5. Hey guys, I'm Tim.
Bob.
Mike.
And this is the Board Game Rundown. And right now, we are getting into our top 5 games of all time. I cannot wait. Cannot wait. These are my 5 absolute most favorite games in the whole world.
Right now.
Right now. Yeah, it could change tomorrow. But probably won't.
Won't.
My top 10, actually, there is a new.
There'll be some flux. There are some, I don't want to say cult the new, but there are new games that came out this year.
There is a new game that is not new to the top 5, even top 10, but is not a new game.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think what happened is I finally got this game, and then I remembered to rank it.
Oh, yeah.
But anyways, we all use Pub Meeple to rank. I did not manipulate my list after that.
Me either.
With the exception of one game a few weeks back that I forgot totally to put on.
To put in the Pub Meeple.
And then I had to, So I had to put it on there because it needed to be there. Mike, you did a little bit different with your list.
I rank them and continually manipulate them until we actually do the list. My top 10 was completely untouched after the ranking.
All right. Well, there we go.
Good.
Bob.
That's me.
Get us going with your number 5, sir.
Number 5. So speaking of the new, Cult of the New, y'all know I love Civilization games. Path of Civilization by Captain Games.
Oh, number 5
is fantastic. I love the simultaneous play. I love the way you have these trays that when you draw the text out of those trays, you're getting all those bonus resources, and just the storage system of that is genius. You've got these 9.5 different things you're going through, whether they're fights or they're just societal conflicts that you're dealing with. You're just recruiting. You're building wonders. You're recruiting leaders. You're have 5 techs. You're choosing 4 of them to put down. You're burying one. You're activating one side of the card. You're activating another side of the card. You're gaining technologies and spending them. It's just great. It's so well done. It's so well streamlined. You can play 5 people in 60 to 90 minutes, and finding a Civilization game that you can do that with is not easy to do. So yeah, I love Path of Civilization. I think it's fantastic.
It's a Euro Civilization game, but that's not a knock on it. I think the action selection at the beginning of each round gives you an arduous decision each time because you only get to pick one side of a double-sided card, and both sides are really tasty every time. So you're really kind of weighing out what do I need to get done this round versus what do I need to get done in the next round.
I only played it the one time at IndieCon, but I thought that this game was great.
Yeah,
I really did.
And they did such a great job with the iconography, talking about everything that was squares are gaining you cubes. All the things that are round are gaining you text, which are tracked with a cylinder. And so that simple iconography choice just makes it super easy to teach and people to wrap their their minds around.
Yeah.
It was really smart.
Plus those really amazing card holders.
Yeah. Well, the wooden ones. Which ones?
The ones that hold the tech cards.
Oh, yeah. I was talking about the trays.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, those trays.
Yeah.
I was thinking card holder.
I was thinking the card holders. What? Yeah.
They are card holders.
They are.
They hold all the decks of the techs. The deck text.
Yeah, card holder to
Tech
me
decks.
implies that it's held upright.
Same.
Versus.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's
the piles.
fine.
But no, it's cool that they stack on top of each other, and there's a plastic cover that goes over them, so the whole thing just fits right inside the box. And you pull it out, and you go. Tung, 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 tung.
You know what's weird? We should come up with a different name for that because they hold cards.
Yeah.
So we call them. We think we're holder cards. Or
Yeah.
No.
Well,
maybe card holder. You think we should call it card holder?
Well, they're deck holders.
Deck holders.
Yeah.
That's a little dangerous though.
Yes.
You got to be
Just don't
careful
play on a
about
bed.
and you got to be careful about who holds your deck.
Yeah.
I don't care. I'm just happy.
Just happy it's being held.
One reason to watch our live show is that we will be doing our 100 through 51. We only do our 50 through number 1 in studio here. Path of Civilization, I will be talking about on our live
Your
show.
50
It
after
did
50.
make my top 100.
Yeah, right on. I just need to play it more.
Yeah, okay.
But I really enjoyed it the one
Good.
time I did play it. I thought it was really good. Okay, so my number 5 is that new guy to the list, the new kid on the block, if you will. Don't like that group. But anyways, this game is a classic. And I made sure I found the first edition because I didn't want that second edition. And I'm talking about Tyrants of the Underdark. I
This
freaking love
moved
this
up a
game.
lot for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I got it, and finally got it. Finally got the copy, I wanted. I got that first edition with the expansion
little
stuff
bits.
to it, and, the nice bits. But the deck building in this game and the way that you choose
Call the cards
to
out.
call your deck, because they're going to be points at the end, is so cool. And then you've got the territory control aspect of it, which I absolutely love. And it just does a really, really good job of taking two sort of board game, mechanisms in a game that I really, really like. And it just merges them together really well. And I don't know, man. I just have a great time every time I play this game, and I kind of always want to play it. But yeah, I really, really, really like Tyrants of the Underdark, and because you're going to pick those different factions or whatever, the different kinds of cards that you're going to add into the deck.
Their families.
Yeah, they're different families. But, yeah, sure, it's family.
Read the lore.
Fine. I don't. That's the thing is you don't even have to care.
You don't have to know the lore.
You know,
but
it's-
if you do, it's more enjoyable because I've read a lot of those books.
Yeah.
And so you're seeing those family names, and then it's neat.
I mean, it's all like Dungeons and Dragons.
It is. The
Legends
Drow,
of, yeah, the Drow,
Underdark.
Drizzt, all them guys, right?
Yep.
But
he is
yeah.
a brow.
I only got it to play it that one time. So if I play this more, I can see
Yeah.
it moving up, but it's in my top 100.
Yeah, I enjoy this game quite a bit, and like I said, finally got the copy I wanted.
The timing of the card calling is good because the cards that are worth a lot of points when you call them are super strong. So you want to
Yeah.
play them. You're like, am I going to be able to shuffle and draw this card again and a chance to call it before the game ends?
Yeah.
So yeah, just that decision making.
I just love that timing of it and that usefulness, with it and being able to do that.
I also
Oh, it's so
appreciate that this also includes territory control, which
Yeah.
is the other major part of this game.
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, it's so good. Love this game. All right.
Good
Tyrants
pick.
of the Underdark.
All right, my number 5 is new to my top 10. It's Sky Team.
Hey, oh.
Sky Team is just amazing. We talked about it a lot when Bob had it at his number 6, but still, 2-player cooperative.
It wasn't 6.
I would assume you'd watch the top 10 before you watch the top 5. I guess you don't have to.
Don't have to.
It'll come out first, though.
It will.
But the Sky Team's amazing. Limited communication, cooperative, dice rolling with some tension.
Especially if you're playing it on a bed.
you're
Lots
when
of
you're
tension.
when you just don't know exactly what your partner has, and you're just hoping they have the right die, or the plane's gonna tilt and game over. And you can scale the difficulty depending on the modules you put in. It can be really hard to win this game. I have played this now over 50 times on Board Game Arena and over 30 times in real life. I have a ton of plays of this game, and I still absolutely love it. Have not added the Turbulence expansion yet, so
Right.
new stuff I'm excited to try.
Yep.
But when I really started thinking about this game, I had it in my top 20 the first time. This is easily one of my favorite games now. I cannot get enough of it. I get excited to teach it to new players.
Same.
And every time I play it, I'm going to play it 3 or 4 times in a row. Every single time. It's just like just devote an hour and play that game 4 or 5 times consecutively. And I just
way to
can't.
spend an hour.
Man, Sky Team, it's fantastic.
Great
It
pick.
is. Yeah. And man, tell you what, you put those timed modules on there and talk about, ramping things up.
Whole new amount of tension that you
That's right.
add to the game, because you really got to talk about everything beforehand, so you
As soon
know
as
what
you
you're
roll,
doing
timer
before
starts.
you even roll your dice. Yeah.
All right. Nice pick, Mike. Gonna take us down to
Number 4.
continuing with the Cult of the New. There's no surprise that this game is in my top 5 games because I absolutely love this game. But the Forges of Ravenshire is one of the
yeah.
best engine builders I've ever played. Like, so many engine builders you play, it's such a slog at the beginning, just trying to get your engine up and going. Like, you're just trying to get out of that first gear. No. Forges of Ravenshire, you're gaining resources and doing stuff from turn one. You're putting a dice out, you're gaining resources. You're picking a dice up, you're gaining resources. You're slotting that die into one of your guilds, you're gaining resources. You're going to do that 3 times, and you're going to take those same dice, and you're going to move them over to your production phase, and you're going to run your forge. You're turning wood into charcoal. You're turning charcoal and ore into steel. You're using steel, leather, wood, and you're crafting all these items and making money, getting action tokens and reputation, and you're getting stronger contracts and more difficult things to build. The artwork is so great on it. Like, it's just there's just so much of this game that's done right, and like. Yeah, we've been fortunate to know Sam and to know the guys over at BA Games.
Doesn't matter. This game's so good.
It would not matter if I didn't like the game. I wouldn't have talked about it. There's plenty of other games I could have put in here, but the fact that I have done teach videos for this, I have taught this to multiple people. I ran the booth at the conventions. I backed it myself. I paid for it with my own money. I still just 2 weeks ago reached for this game because I wanted to play this game. It speaks volumes, and that's why it's earned the spot in the top 5. I love this game. It's fantastic.
Like one of my favorite things about this game, other than the amazing art, is that I don't know that I ever have a feel bad moment.
Yeah.
Because sure, you may not get to take the action you absolutely wanted to, but there's always ways
you're never completely blocked out
to get the resources that you need. It may not be as many as you wanted, or something, but there's so many creative ways, and there's so many ways to mitigate that, with the different amulets
the trades, the dragon scale and stuff.
They just did a really good job of giving you paths
ways to mitigate.
To use, and I was very lucky and got to play a very rough draft of this game early on, and was like, oh, this is going to be really cool. And then to see this game from being like a really rough prototype to being the absolutely gorgeous finished product, not only is a testament to just what a great idea they had for a game, but the hard work and their dedication to really make a good looking
quality game.
Real good, really, really good game. The worst thing about this game is I just don't think enough people know about it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Once people Gen Con, they finally got all their copies in because they tried in Origins. They were unable to get them off the boat for Origins. So Gen Con was the first time they had it available for the public.
Out.
They sold out of them. That's just people started checking this out and doing the playthroughs. Were like, this game is really good.
And the other really cool thing about this game, because one of the things I love about this group right here, us 3 specifically, is that we play Lacerdas and we play party games and everything in between.
Yep.
And we also have a lot of experience, and a lot of our gaming time is teaching new people or playing with more gateway people, and lighter gamers. So to have a game with such versatility where you can play that game at almost like a low medium weight with all of the different kinds of decisions, but a lighter gamer can come in there and it's very straightforward. You're going to do 2 things.
Yep.
You're going to pick that up. You're going to get those things. First you're going to put one down.
Right.
You're going to get those things. You're going to pick up any other one on the board you want.
Get
those things. Now you're going to plop them where you need to plop them in your guild here. You're going to get those things. Now just take a breath and wait, for it to go around, and then there's just so many cool things you can do in this game, but it's so accessible. And again, sometimes there can be a game, let's just say a lighter game, but the box may not be as appealing, like Pompeii, Downfall of Pompeii. Easy to teach and everything, but somebody might see the copy of that game and go, oh, that looks like homework. I don't want to play that game. Mike, I'm not bothered by the art, but you're right. It could use a little sprucing up, right? But Forges, that art, my wife would be like, well, let's play that. He looks cute.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
let's go. And it's just great. I love it. It's a great pick. So that's it. I just wanted to. I already had it on my list, in my top 50, but I just didn't have it near as high as you did. But totally deserving.
Yeah.
Worthy game.
Really fun.
I just wish those people at BA Games were nicer. Just kidding. We love them. They're some of our favorite people. Anyways, okay, let's go to my number 4 before I get myself in trouble. this is designed by a gentleman who was knighted by the Board Game Rundown. And I'm talking about Empire's Age of Discovery by Sir Glenn Drover.
Nice.
Friend of the show. One time.
He said we could use it. So.
He said we could say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, at Origins like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And he doesn't know who we are.
Nope.
He's like, who are these guys? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
No, so Empire's Age of Discovery, I'm just going to tell you, if you have a problem with the theme, that's fine. Maybe it's not the game for you. But it is a game about colonization, which is something that happened in history. It does not mean that we are glorifying it. I'm just playing a game that I like. So in this game, you are basically coming over from Europe to get into the Americas. And the really cool thing that this game does, though, is that you're going to get these different kinds of specialized workers. Now, they can do still sort of those generic things, but if you can put that specialized worker in their spot, you're going to get like a much better version of that action. You also get to build like buildings, which are going to give you extra things. You get those tiles. They give you those extra things, kind of give you a little engine building kind of stuff. And then, you're going to go over there and you're going to flip that tile over and you're going to get extra resources and points and all kinds of good stuff. This game's really good, really interesting. I kind of appreciate like the territory control aspect of it too, because you're trying to get more guys in certain areas. This game just does a lot of things that I like. I have the Eagle Griffin version. And of course, that means the production is just top notch. And even the insert's fine. There's probably more compartments than I need.
There's more wells than you need, but it's fine.
But hey, everything fits in there with no
nicely.
box lid.
Yeah.
And again, great components. Great components. The minis are great. The coins are good in there. You know what I mean? Like,
I love the variable workers, right? So you have like the priest guy, and he has an ability where he brings like extra people with him. You have the builder guy, and he has an ability on your board, but if you put him over another area, he's like builds monuments or whatever. So he makes it worth more, that territory worth more money or more points.
Yeah.
And yeah, so just the fact that you have like just different types of workers that have the different abilities, like I enjoy that kind of, like, it's almost, I don't want to say worker placement, but
it kind of is, but then you're like but like some of the actions you take, you get those better or specialized versions of the workers, right? And you got to choose to assign your workers. You know?
And do I keep them like on this one spot where I'm going to get them back, or do I send them over there and let them be permanent fixtures on the board where I don't get them back anymore, but now they're earning me points because they're sitting out there?
Because they're doing that territory control piece. Yeah, it's good stuff.
Good decision making. It's a great game.
Yeah, really good, really fun.
We haven't played it in a while.
We haven't. I really want to play it again.
That's probably why it slipped a little bit.
We need to get Mike to play it. Mike hasn't played it, or
I've played it.
You played it?
Okay.
Just say you haven't, so we can play it.
I've never played it.
Yeah,
we should get Mike to play
we should get Mike to play this.
Yeah.
It's a good idea. I've heard it's pretty good.
Yeah. You should
I
try.
don't know
it.
if you guys.
Yeah. Well, Bob hasn't played it either.
Right. Not well.
Same. All right, Mike. What's your number 4?
My number 4 is new to my top 10, but nobody's going to be surprised that I've got Heat Pedal to the Metal. At my number 4 game of all time. I love racing games, and this is my favorite racing game. I have seen games be very tight and come down to that very last card played. I've just thoroughly enjoyed this game. I have played this almost as much as any game since it came out in late 2022. This game just does so many things really well for me. It's good at keeping the game tight and fast. You can play it with 6 and right around an hour. And now with the Heavy Rain expansion, which we haven't touched yet, you can play with 8 players. There's new tracks and some new abilities. But it's not exactly a deck builder. It's really more like hand management. Now, there is one module that I suggest you always play with, the Garage module, where you get to draft new cards for your deck and take those starter cards out. That makes each game play a little bit differently and gives you different strategies to try. The Weather module is great because that can change how the track reacts between different sections of the track. Man, this game just works so well for me. I've played it a ton. The championship mode's awesome, where you play 3 races, and at the end of each one, you get points based on how you placed, and then you add up your points after 3 races. The module that allows you to, whoever goes across the finish line after the first lap gets a bonus card to add to their deck. Man, I just love Heat Pedal to the Metal, and I have taught so many new people this game, and I take it everywhere. Every time I go somewhere, that's going in the bag first, and then I'll figure out what else will fit.
That's fair.
Yep. Yeah, it's a
big
great
box.
game. I'm surprised it got kicked out. It's not in my top 50. I was really surprised.
Wow.
I know. I really enjoyed it. It probably could have made it. I just pulled it up to see. I was like, it was very close to making it.
Dang, I thought there was a chance it got into your top 10, and that's why
Yeah.
you hadn't talked about
No,
it yet.
I
Man.
know.
Now, this is a game that is an example of I played it in real life, really enjoyed it. Have played it a few times on BGA, and it has made me want to trade it. Because I am bad at this game on BGA. I just, for whatever reason, cannot not spin out, or because I think there's something that some of the rules are still a little fuzzy on, like how the extra draft works. You know, at the end, if you're behind, does that push you over your limit when
Yes.
you cross? And the thing is I always get that mixed up when playing online.
And you can't. It's not like when you're playing online, you can't ask or take it
Yeah,
back.
yeah,
Like,
because
oh
if
wait,
I'm-
no, then I wouldn't go.
Yeah, because I'm sitting here with you guys, and it's like, okay, so guys, like real quick, before I move my, spots, like, is this work this way? Yes, no, whatever, and then I can make,
Make
if
an
I'm gonna-
informed decision.
Yes, make a
Yeah.
much more informed decision. So playing it online has been absolute misery for me, but I have enjoyed playing it in person. I do think it's really good.
Yeah. Well, the micro machines help too.
Yeah, they do for sure.
But yeah, I really do enjoy this game. It is one of my favorite racing games. But I just looked and realized, like, yeah. It wasn't
Ooh,
in my
little
top
known
50s.
artist did the box.
Who was that?
Yeah, a certain guy named Vincent Dutrain.
Yeah, oh my god.
Yeah.
Got to
pretty
play
damn
that
good.
Days
expansion.
of Wonder too, right? Did that game?
Yep.
Yeah, Days of Wonder did.
It's fantastic.
It's like
It's a
their
great
one
game.
release a year. Isn't
you like
it Days of
racing
Wonder that
games-
does one game a year?
Maybe.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Pretty close.
If you like racing games, it's definitely worth checking out.
Yeah.
So, sweet.
Let's go.
Let's go to
Number 3.
My number 3 is I wouldn't say it's an oldie but a goodie, but it's been on my top list, probably the same spot for ever since it came out. But War Room
Yeah.
is a fantastic World War II board game. One of the mechanisms this thing does that nothing else does is it has the planned movements. So every stack of units has like a calling on it, like the 101st Airborne or like the 97th Division, whatever you want to call it. And then all the board spaces have locations, A2, A3, A4. And so you're going to write down on your list, you want this division to go to this spot, this division, and you're going to give yourself 9 commands, depending on which faction you're playing. And then you're going to bid oil. And depending on how much oil you'll bid is going to determine the turn order. And if you bid a bunch of oil, you can go first and try to pin people down, because now, like, once people move in there, if you're trying to move out, you have to leave units behind to deal with the forces that have moved in on you, and then you can only move partial units out of there. It's got like railroads that you can bomb and stop people from just bringing people up from way far in the back. There's a lot of different scenarios you can play. Like, the boats are awesome. Like, I love this war game. I wish I could get to play it more. It can take a while. It's very crunchy, and the board is very large. But I don't care. It's Nightingale Games. They did a fantastic one. They've got a new one getting ready to come out. It's called Imperial Borders. Looks fantastic, using some very similar mechanisms to it, but it's set back in the the Council of Vienna, I think it was, when they were like drawing lines and everything. And so I'm very excited to see how that plays out. But yeah, I think War Room is just fantastic. So.
I haven't played it, but it sounds like diplomacy on crack. Because diplomacy, you do your planned movement, right? Everybody is going to go, okay, so I'm going to move. I'm moving here, and I'm moving here, and here, and here. And I might go, I'm not going to move there. You know what I mean?
Sure,
and then they all
yeah.
get revealed and resolved, kind of in a similar way.
Right.
I don't remember how initiative works in that one.
Yeah,
but-
well, and there's no. The thing is about this game, though, there's no like hidden traitor. There's no like betrayal. You
Oh,
can't.
yeah.
You're not gonna tell like oh, I'm gonna tell the Britain player that has America, I'm gonna move over here and not do it. And be like, haha, in your face. Like, oh yeah, now we're all dead, dude.
Yeah, right.
You
right.
know?
Well, I mean, if it's like everybody out for themselves, it's a different thing.
Sure.
versus- yeah.
But no, this is it's fantastic. You guys really, if you like war games, check it out.
Yeah, right on.
It was a fun experience. I want to play it again.
Well, and Larry Harris, I feel like, all of his Acts and Allies games that he's done, he puts out these battle boards. And I've played so many of these games that, I don't use the battle board. I don't need it. He's finally designed a game where it's like, okay, I got to use the battle board.
Nice.
Because there's two types of battle that you can do. In the first edition, you can choose, do you want your guys on an offensive stance or defensive stance? And that's going to change, what dies and what value they hit on and so on and so forth. And so you really got to, put them in the spots that you got to have the battle board to determine all that. And then they came up with the second edition, and they did, streamline the combat. And those rules are fine, too. I do like being able to pick offensive or defensive, but it can definitely add a bunch of time trying to use the older rules as compared to.
So I guess it just depends on what you want, right?
Yeah, exactly. How much time you get? Is it one of those games that you're either going to take all day to play it, or you can leave it set up, then use the old ones and get that minutia of your battle and really do what you want to do. If you're just trying to get through the game and play it in 3 to 4 hours, then just use the faster combat. And,
going in and we're fighting.
Yeah, we're fighting.
All right, my number 3 has already been mentioned. It is by one of my all-time favorite designers and a really funny guy that I got to meet. But yeah, it is also the best, hands down, in the trilogy. And I'm talking about Ankh, Gods of Egypt. For everything Mike said when he talked about it on his list, this game does so many cool things that I just love, right? So it's a CMON game, so the miniatures, the Kickstarter production value is just ridiculous. Giant size god figures, the little camels you use to make up the different territories. The action selection for me is my favorite part of this game. I love that there's all these different actions you can choose from, but there's a hierarchy. And so if you take an action towards the top, you can't take anything above it. So if you take that action at the bottom, nothing. That's the only action you're taking, right? And the way that it's spaced out, because the movement and the deploy, you know what I mean? So it's really tough. So you can't just get into areas where you need to be and then drop a bunch of dudes. You have to drop a bunch of dudes. I forget which way it goes.
Right. But moving is at the top.
But it's, you know what I mean? But it's really tricky on do that. Yeah, because you got to move, but you can't move all those dudes you just put out on the board. Or no, wait. Yeah, you can't
deploy and then move. Right. You have to move and then deploy.
You can't move all the dudes you just deployed, which makes the timing of that really interesting. The different sort of territory control aspect of it, where there's the temples and the monuments, and the pyramids, and then you've got all the gods' asymmetric powers. Then you've got your own player board where you're unlocking different Ankh powers. Just choose which ones you want to do, because you're spending the followers, all that stuff. And then when somebody reaches the end of one of those turn tracks, right, your action tracks, it's going to trigger something. Maybe you're going to take over a temple where you've got, the most guys or something, or maybe it's going to start combat. And then combat, it goes in the order that it is numbered. So each specific territory has its own number, and then you're going to resolve. Everybody's got the same amount of cards, same kind of cards in their hand. You're going to choose what card you're going to play. You're going to know all your combat values. Then you're going to inflict your casualties, resolve all that kind of stuff. Maybe you want to lose stuff, and then you're going to get devotion for losing guys, or just different things, right? And then you don't get those cards back until you play the card that lets you pick up your hand again, which is an awesome mechanic, which we'll never talk about it anymore on this list. But this game is so cool. And then, yes, there is that one spot on the thing where you can redraw the lines of the camels, and then you rearrange the order in which you want combat to resolve. So interesting. Also comes with a book with different kinds of scenarios and setups for different player counts. You can play it straightforward. You can play it with one of these unique scenarios. I haven't even tried the Pharaoh expansion, which I have heard is incredible. I absolutely love this game. Every time I play this game, something epic has happened. With the exception of one time we tried to play, it was 3 players, and it was that really difficult mode.
You're losing followers.
Constantly losing followers in devotion. It was really tough. Probably, I guess maybe I'll do that again with a different player count and a better idea of what's going on. But man, that was the one maybe less optimal time I've had playing this game. But most of the time, this game is super epic, crazy. The merge mechanic is just chef's kiss. Because it doesn't really. Also, by the time somebody merges, there's really only 2 or 3 turns left, anyways, because it is the game just starts to get bananas. It ramps up really fast, and I just love this game. I love territory control, and this one just does everything right for me. I absolutely love it.
It's phenomenal.
So
Been in my top 10 every year.
yeah. I think it was my 3 last year. It was either my 3 or 4 last year. It was definitely my top 5. But
All right, my number 3 is from my favorite all-time designer, and this is my favorite game of his, and it is the Castles of Burgundy. This is one of the most replayable games that I have ever played because different tiles come out each round and each game, and they can drastically change up how you're going to play this game. Those special yellow tiles that you get give you a completely different strategy to employ each time you play it. And I know compared to a lot of modern games that use dice as your action selection, this game does not have as many ways to mitigate poor rolls. And I'm fine with that. The fact that luck is a part of this game adds to the replayability. But I am not the only one that considers the Castles of Burgundy one of their all-time favorite games. I'm the only one here, though.
I was going to say.
But the Awakened Realms version is amazing. There's still some modules in there that I need to try out. But I have played this game hundreds of times online, and I am still not tired of this game. In fact, I moved it up this year because I'm finding as I'm playing some of these other games more, Castles of Burgundy holds its replayability better than some of these other games
Right
do.
on.
So I moved it up. I do not get tired of this game. In fact, I just keep finding more and more people that appreciate this game as much as I do, and I'm playing them online now, and I'm just constantly appreciating this game more and more all the time. It'll never leave my top 10. Castles
Bold
of
statement.
Bold
Burgundy.
statement.
Bold statement comment. Mike taught me this game. I enjoyed it enough to buy the Awakened Realms version, so I will have one coming to me as well. I have played it online. The unfortunate thing is the version that Mike taught me, the iconography is like completely different than the version online, so it was a bit of a learning curve, and it's hard to tell when I'm playing on my tablet. But it is a great game. It is definitely worth the play, and it does have the holding power. Like, it's an older game, right? When did that come
Yeah.
out? Like
Oh, it's an older game.
2012, 13,
And
14,
yeah,
somewhere in
it's
there.
still really good. So.
Well,
It's like
this
a
was the one
10-year-old
that
game.
needed a spruce up and got it.
Yes.
The components needed
Even the box art,
Higher
the OG
quality.
box art. I mean, like, I can tell you
Boring.
that's why I've never
Yeah.
played this game.
player boards, basically card stock. It was an old Ravensburger game,
Yeah,
very
no,
thin chits.
Yeah.
It definitely needed a refresh. What's tricky for me as an experienced player is I'm so used to the icons on first edition
Right.
that second edition and now the Awakened Realms version, the icons, I need player aids again. Whereas with first edition, just playing it online, I can just look at something and know what it does. So a little bit of that. I mean, there's now 3 different sets of icons for that game. BGA only lets you pick the first 2 editions. So if you're picking it up from the Awakened Realms version, there is no way to incorporate those icons on BGA currently. But so a little bit of a learning curve, but fantastic game.
Yep. All right. It's going to take us down to number 2. At number 2, I say new game, same game. Unlike Tim, where he kind of kept a lot of his different versions of a game, I just picked my favorite version of a game and then I ranked that one. And this year, I, for the first time, got to play the anniversary edition of Axes and Allies.
Oh, yeah.
And it is fantastic. So I usually have the 1942 version listed here at number 2 because that was my favorite version of it. I played the bejesus out of it, especially online. But the anniversary edition, I think, is far better. It brings the text back, baby. You gotta love the text,
Oh,
right?
hell yes.
So much fun. And then it implements. Well, there's a 6 players, so somebody can play. It's Italy now, so it's more of a 3v3. And
Hey, the Vikings are
Hey,
out.
the Vikings,
Hey.
yeah. But no, so they have these like goals. So, during the war, different countries had different objectives throughout the war. And as long as you are fulfilling these objectives, you're getting bonus money. And that bonus money can really help to fuel your investment into techs. And then unlike the old versions where the techs were like, well, you bought your die roll, you roll it, fail, well, you're out. You get nothing for it. At least this time you're buying these chits. And now after you buy your chits, you're going to roll a die for each chit you have. And so you're increasing your odds each time you invest in technology until you finally hit one. And then you discard your chits, then you can buy more again next time. But that way you're not just out. You're not just paying the money and you're out. And man, it's because the Axis and Allies is still like the same, right? The map's a little bit different, but you still have all your aircraft carriers, destroyers, cruisers, battleships, tanks, infantries, all the pieces you would expect to see. But the addition of those techs, the addition of the goals to earn you that extra money to be able to do all the extra things that you want to do, the 6th player being Italy, being able to control that Mediterranean and take control of Africa and do all that kind of stuff, the only downfall I really have this are the colors. I have such an issue with the colors sometimes. I get it. You want your army guys to be green, but stop using green because it's such a hard time telling some of them apart. Make the American guys blue or something like that, And yeah, it looks a little cheesy, I guess, but I literally had to write on the pieces to tell them apart. But I didn't care. I like the game so much. I did it because I want to be able to play it, and I think it's fantastic.
How does this compare? Now, this game isn't out yet, but I would just want to know because I know how I feel about A Song for War. Mm-hmm. Or how does that compare?
So it's different. So
I know it's way different, but I mean, could you see A Song for War?
Replacing this?
Yeah, or moving up?
I think it definitely has top 10 potential.
Sure.
The large swings and the very dynamic board because, while that board is very big, it's also very small because of all the movement and everything that you can do on there. Whereas the Axis and Allies, I don't want to say feels limiting, or limited, but you only can build troops from certain areas once you build a complex, right? And this one in Song for War, you can pick where you want to
right,
deploy.
Because there's different values.
Correct.
But there's optimal places to
obviously,
deploy.
I can put one plane here, well, I can drop 4 planes there and then just fly them where I need them type of a thing. But yeah, so they're very different. I think there's definitely room for both.
Sure. I was just curious.
Yeah, but I've played Axis and Allies for so long, it definitely holds that nostalgia feeling for me.
100%.
But yeah, like I said, that Song for War is just very swingy. I don't know if that as a bad, because sometimes you use swingy as a derogatory term, but it's not. It's just you take big swings and you can land hard, or you could.
I mean, you could still do that in Axis and Allies. I just feel like in Axis and Allies, it's way more punishing if you swing and miss.
It can be
versus the other one. But I just was curious. I was curious because I know my feelings on both, and Axis and Allies I think is a great game, and it's a fundamental, a foundational game, right?
Right.
It's so important to the hobby and what it has done for the hobby, and I think it's awesome that they keep kind of improving on it and tweaking and messing with it, because for somebody like you, right? Do I need the new version? I don't know. But when they approve on it, and it's
it's
and
better.
now you've got all these different flavors of Axis and Allies to pick from, and good, and good choices,
sure.
And it's not just do I want to play Star Wars Risk today, or do I want to play Lord of the Rings Risk today? Axis and Allies just kind of hits a little different for me. But I was just wondering, just comparison wise.
Sure. Well, one of the things that I do really like about the Song for War is the hidden stuff, right? The hidden fleets, or the Italy version where you have the hidden deployment of the troops and stuff. That is super cool, and I can't if Axis and Allies can figure out a way to do something like that. Yeah. All right, talk nerdy to me.
No, you're good. You're good, man. Okay, so my number 2 and my number 1 always kind of flip flop, kind of depending on the day, but it's always one of these two games, and this time it is Concordia. So this was a game that I originally put off playing because I thought the box art was ugly and kind of boring.
It
is.
And it doesn't really tell me anything about the game or look very interesting. But if I'm going to trade in the Mediterranean, this is the way I'm going to trade in the Mediterranean. The way that you are building sort of your routes to the other cities, and you're building those cities, and the way that you can take the resources, you can flip them over to the other side. So many good choices. So many good choices. The timing is really important. You've got a hand of cards, and when you play that card, that's going to be the action you do. And then there's a market of cards you can buy, which are going to give you different versions of those actions, maybe slightly tweaked versions, or even just getting to do that action again before you've got to play the card to pick up all your stuff. And then there's the set collection aspect of those cards at the end of the game where you can score points. This game is a classic for a reason. Kind of like Castles of Burgundy, right? There's some games that are genuinely evergreen. And I have yet to play a game that does what Concordia does the way that it does that replaces it for me. Because there's definitely games where it's Well, like I talk about Defenders of the Realm, right? It's like I used to love Pandemic. Now I love Defenders of the Realm. Still love Defenders of the Realm, and don't need to play Pandemic ever again. Now I played a few games, right? I just talked about Ankh, where it has sort of that card playing mechanic, right? And that's sort of a similar thing, but it's inspired by Concordia. It is not, and nothing else in that game is like Concordia. So I've yet to play a game that has replaced Concordia. It is a true evergreen for me. And while the learning curve, I'm not going to bring this to gateway gamers, but anybody that's like just past that gateway wants to get into something a little crunchier with some interesting choices, this is a great one because I feel like you've got this hand of cards, so you just pick one of those things that you want to do. Well, guess what? Now, next turn, you can't do that thing, so you've got even fewer choices to do. So it really kind of helps keep the game moving, too. And then also the timing of when you play your cards and when you're going to do what. And am I going to sail over here? I'm going to do this, or I'm going to move this guy over here. Oh, no, what? I need to build here this round because Mike's getting close, and I need to get over there before he does because it's going to get way more expensive. Just really good decisions. The timing, this game just does so many things like really well. And again, it's kind of like sneaky deck building in there too, because you're getting those cards. And it's not like, oh, I'm waiting to draw this card. You now have that card. But when you play it, it's out until you can refresh and then
So
get
that'd
all
be more
those
like a
actions
hand
back.
management
Yeah,
thing?
kind of.
Yeah.
Kind of. Like,
Because if you're not really drawing from a deck,
yeah, it's not really deck building, but like engine building. I don't know, Mike.
I think hand management.
Mike will talk about this today.
It's more hand management.
But I just really appreciate that aspect of the game, and I have yet to encounter something that has replaced it.
It's pretty presumptuous of you to think that Mike's going to talk about too. So, Mike, what's your number 2?
Yeah, Concordia is pretty good. I didn't say it was my number 2. I said Concordia is pretty good.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if you guys have watched a couple weeks ago. We put out a series of videos where we pointed out the games that we're wrong about. So we, did 5 games Bob was wrong about, and 5 games that I'm wrong about, and 5 games that Tim is wrong about. But this is not one of those times because my number 2 is Concordia. Concordia is an elegant masterpiece of a game.
So
and
good.
I say this because it is a perfect 10 for me. It always hits. It's one of those games I get like giddy when I'm setting it up. Yeah. You still have those games where you get giddy setting it up? Concordia.
Every one of my top 5.
Is she on a bed at Gen Con?
One of those.
Oh, yeah.
Stay tuned for Bob's OnlyFans. But I just get like tingles when I start to set this game up. And I say it's an elegant masterpiece because I prefer to play it with the base game. I think Salsa...
I've never played any of the
I
expansions.
think Salsa is completely optional. You don't need the wild resource. In fact, it speeds the game up slightly, but 5 players with a teach, it still hits at 90 minutes. So it doesn't need to be shorter. The other thing you can add in is the forums, but I think one of the forums is way more powerful than the others, and that's the ability to trade 3 different resources every time you use the Mercator card.
Whoa.
And that is one of the starting forums, and I just think that one, I've played the game a bunch. I've seen somebody score higher than any other game I've ever played with that one particular forum. So anyway, base game Concordia, use any of those numbers of maps. There are dozens of maps available. They're all viable. Some work better at lower player counts than others. But this game is truly a masterpiece of a game.
It's so good. I really like it. Bob's never played it?
Never played it.
I wish should fix that. That'd be an
Correct.
Easy one. That'd be an easy one.
Kind of like...
It's another game that I take everywhere, and eventually one of these times I'll force Bob to play it, tie him to a bed, and then play it on the bed. Moving on. Hey, I thought it was already awkward. I just kept making it more awkward.
You sure did. Mission accomplished.
Hopefully there's booze in there.
So awkward that Bob was drinking from an empty
Give
bottle.
me that booze, you pumpkin pie haircutted freak.
Pull
Sir, I
over.
wouldn't drink that.
No, it's a cardigan.
It's
but
cardigan,
thanks for
thank
noticing.
you. Anyway, yeah.
Number 1.
My number 1, Holding Strong by Mind Clash Games. Anachrony. There's just no other game that does all the stuff that this game does. Like the worker placement slash action selection on your own board. The sweet.
The mechs.
The mechs. Well, not really. They're mech exosuits. That's your power
That
up.
is the must-have expansion.
The must-have expansion.
You have one expansion
Yeah.
for this game. It's the exosuit.
And it's
expansion.
time travel, and it does time travel so well. It's like, I'm going to borrow these resources from the future. But then in the future, you better send those resources back in time where you're going to create like a paradox and anomalies and have negative points and have to deal with all that. And it's just fantastic. The asymmetrical player powers, even like the solo mode. This is one of the few games I've really actually dug the solo mode out, dug through all the rules and played it. The solo mode was actually really good too. But it's just, you're building all these buildings, and these buildings are going to be like engine building and help you to do all these extra actions and whatnot that you don't need the exosuits for. You're trying to escape the planet in your own sort of idiom, and it's just great. And there's just a whole bunch of modules that you can add to it if you want to. Like, some of the people want the meteor to strike later. Some people want the meteor to strike sooner, and some people just want a GTFO. And yeah, it's just a really great game. I've never played anything like it, and I played a bunch online, and it still holds up. Like, it's great.
I really like how when you send workers out, you have to program them. You have to program exosuits for them to go out onto the main world because it's hazardous, but they don't need exosuits to stay inside
base.
and work
Yeah.
in the buildings that
Right.
you've built. And the fact that when you use your workers, some of them are tired. They've worked a shift, and so they come back on the asleep side of the board, and you can't use them the next round, except certain workers in certain locations will come back awake and ready to work a consecutive day. That whole timing there is genius.
It's a great game.
Yeah.
This is a great game. I love the production value of this game.
David Turkshi, amazing design.
Yeah, super good. The art's really good. The theme is amazing.
Yeah.
The choices are tough. Really cool game. Great game. Great game. All right, my number one, and this is probably always, it's always hangs out in there. I get to play it at least once a year.
Yep.
I don't care. I freaking love this game. It does. It just does all the stuff that I love. It's big, chunky minis on the board,
Minis.
bigatures. But I did come from like a Warhammer background, right?
Sure.
So that's kind of where I'm at, and I'm talking about Cthulhu Wars.
Yep.
Territory control, asymmetric factions, a very simple system. As far as rules go, you spend power, you take action, right? You spend power, you take an action. You spend power, you take an action. You just go around. And then when everybody's out of power, then you're going to run through that other phase where you're going to score your doom points and things like that. Potentially do some rituals, depending on your faction. Maybe you get some extra stuff. And then you just start again. You get all your power back up, and you go again. And you're going to go until somebody hits 30 points or more. Or you run out of time and everybody loses.
The Doom track is all
The Doom track. But I really enjoy this game. I love playing this game with all kinds of people, experienced players, new players, all this kinds of stuff. Because when I play with new players, what I do is I pick the faction that I'm worst with. And the thing is there's like 12 factions. So it's not hard to find one that I ain't good with. And then, I try to maybe... If they don't have like a great old one that they love, I just gear them toward hey, play Cthulhu. He's very straightforward.
Or what play style do you like? I like the turtle. Be the sleeper. I like to beat people over the head. Be Cthulhu.
Be Cthulhu, right? I want to annoy people. Well, you're going to be Nyarlathotep. You're going to be the Crawling Chaos faction. Just go. I just always have a great time playing this game. We've played it at 8 players.
Yeah,
and played
that was a bit much. It may take a while.
Too long.
Yeah.
It was too long. I really love playing this with 4 players because the game can go by really quick. With 4 players, I can play this game in an hour to an hour and a half because the turns are quick and the choices are tough. And kind of like Thunder Road, it's look, do not bring your feelings to the table. Right. Everybody's gonna be smacking on everybody, and you're gonna lose units, you're gonna lose battles, and again, it's dice chucking stuff. This was one of the first big Kickstarters that I backed, and I've gotten my money's worth out of this game. Over the years, I've had this game now for 12 years, at least 10 years. And but yeah, I get it to the table, at least once a year now. I don't get it near to the table as much as I used to. But I still love this game and get really excited every time I get to play it. And it's always a good time. Again, people love seeing like the table presence, right? You play this thing at a convention or like a meetup, and they're like, "What the heck is that?" And it's like, well, it's not really that hard to learn if you want to play, a territory control game. It's easier to teach than like GKR, which is a game that is prettier and fun for different reasons. But I think what one of the things I do love about Cthulhu Wars is I do feel like that the teach isn't that bad, so it looks way more intimidating than it actually is. And then just the craziness, the way that each faction can break a different rule. Right. And just all kinds of crazy stuff. I've seen all kinds of crazy stuff happen in these games.
I would say it has a action system like
Blood Rage. Yep.
Where you're instead of spending rage, you're spending power in the same manner. And then if you're playing with newer people, you just don't play with any of those independent grade old ones. Because that adds a lot more like reading to everything. And then you could teach this to I don't know if it's like entry, but like you're saying, just beyond the entry.
Just beyond entry level, you can get them into a
and then if you have super heavy gamers, then you add in all the extras and bells and whistles. And that it keeps the more experienced players engaged.
Yeah, agreed. That's a good point.
Mm-hmm. I enjoyed this one. I got to play it for the first time this year, and I was enjoying it enough that I thought it might go into my top 50. But then I got out to a lead, and Tim pointed that out and got all the players to beat up on me, and then for that it fell out of my top 50. I'm just kidding. It was really good.
Mm-hmm. That's fine.
But that true story, that happened.
That did happen. Man,
Mike's leading.
Were you Chocho?
Yes.
That's why you got ganged up on.
Yeah.
Because Chocho starts out heavy, and then you can win real fast, but then people will start beating down on you. And
the thing is, you don't beat down on them, you're going to...
Yeah.
But that's a great faction, though, for people on their first time, because it is easy to win if they play even halfway smart. And you were playing well. Because the whole thing is, we call them empty calories. Normally, you're going to get rewards for taking out units and like capturing units. And because you have to spend power to do like anything. And with that faction that Mike was playing, like you get nothing for taking them out other than the satisfaction of getting them off the board.
Right.
Where normally if I go over and I'm going to capture like Bob's cultists and stuff, I'm going to get that power back later.
Right.
And it's like, oh, and thank you for my power.
Not only are you depriving me, but you're going to get that back again later.
Yeah. I take it from Mike and it's like, well, here's your thing back. And he doesn't even spend stuff to put it back out. It's like, I'm not even doing anything but spending my own power.
Yeah.
So it is a problematic faction that must be destroyed. But yeah, it was good. I had a good time. Mike.
My number one. So for my number one, we're actually going to go back in time. We're going to go back in time about 10 minutes where I talked about those series of videos we did where we talked about games that we were wrong about. And I talked about a game that Tim was right about. This time I want to talk about a game that Bob is right about, because now I'm going to go back in time 3 minutes and borrow Bob's number one, which is Anachrony.
Yes.
This game is fantastic for all the reasons that Bob said. Amazing design by David Turkey. It's one of those games that seems intimidating at first, especially because everything is icons. It is a completely 100% language independent game, and it works extremely well. It becomes very streamlined once you understand how to play this game.
The iconography is strong.
The resource management's really good. The timing of getting those workers to all be awake in the same round so you can use all of them in one round, and then borrowing resources from yourself as the example of the time travel mechanic, and then buying buildings that allow you to travel back in time to do that stuff. Man.
And then the way that things change after the cataclysm, like all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, the board and planet starts falling apart. And,
I like how when I teach this game, I explain that theme. Like, you're going to be getting resources from yourself in the future because this cataclysm is going to happen, and you're going to discover a resource that allows you to travel back in time. Just mind-blowing. I love so when my way of teaching a game is best done by explaining the theme of the game. And this is one of those. When you can incorporate a theme into a game that has that many mechanics, oh, it's such an incredible game. Anachrony moved up my list because of BGA plays. I've gotten to play it a lot more because of that.
That's great.
Nice.
Man, it's a great game. It is a really good game. Well,
Mike, you're 100% right.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
What a strong list of games. Holy smokes. We could just take like a week off and just bring
all these.
bring our top fives. Well, there'd be some overlaps. We wouldn't even need 5 of them.
Yeah, we would need.
We could bring our
12
top
games.
10.
Yeah.
We could bring our top 10 and still have time to play them all because of the overlap. But yeah, this was really fun, guys. I really enjoy doing these lists
Same.
every year. It's really exciting also to kind of see how that list shakes out.
Yeah.
Like, oh, what's moved up? What's moved down? And then you kind of like question, like, oh, did I do that right? Like,
What
what's
has staying
wrong?
power? Which ones are falling off?
Yeah, and yeah, like this year more than ever, I've seen more shifts in what's gone up and down, right, risen and fallen, and I'm waiting for my top 2 one year to not be Cthulhu Wars and Concordia in one of those, because every year it's one of those 2. It's always 1 and 2 in one order or the other. But now I'm like, that could change. That could really change with. Now that I'm seeing these, not even, like Tyrants of the Underdark, for example, for me, it's not even a new game, but it was a game that I really enjoyed playing before, but then I finally got my hands on a copy, and it really helped kind of put it back in my presence of mind and really have it up there so that I wanted to make sure that I got to talk about it and represent it. And that's where it came down on the Pub Meeple.
Yep.
So this is crazy.
It's always a blast. And if you want to see our top 50 after 50, stay tuned to our Wednesday night live show, Whiskey Wednesday, where we'll go through 100 through 51.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. And no way will we ever get derailed or distracted by the comments.
At all.
Or by Mike not getting something right with the computer as he tries to bring something up.
Also, you'll never find me drinking too much whiskey.
I've never done that either.
I have.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. Hopefully you made it through all top 50 and didn't just skip to the head.
these, yeah.
But even
Cheating.
if you did, that's fine. I appreciate you being here.
Yep.
And so leave us a comment. Let us know what is in your top 50. What's in your top 5. Hit us up on Discord. Again, we take suggestions, tweaks. What can we do better? Why is there not enough me on the show? That's a fair question.
No,
Why is there too much me?
Yeah, it's too much.
Probably more
like
realistic question.
Very.
But yeah, we just really appreciate the interaction and everything. So thank you if you made it this far. And for the Board Game Rundown, I've been Tim.
Bob.
I'm 10 minutes ago, Mike.
Whoa!